Vivid Insight Radio, amplifying voices, inspiring communities.
Vivid Insight Radio, amplifying NASA's Q&A. Remember when humans last saw the moon up close?
Human beings are really nuanced color detectors, especially connected to a well-trained brain. We saw examples of that in Apollo. So if you have any, Apollo enthusiasts out there, you might remember during Apollo 17 spacewalk, Jack Schmidt, one of the two crew members who was actually a geologist, he had this moment where he very excitedly exclaimed, "Orange soil, orange soil."
It's orange! Well, I might put my visor up. It's still orange. Sure it is. Crazy. Orange. I've got to dig a trench, Houston.
He sampled it, brought it back, and it ultimately told us that volcanic processes on the lunar surface were active much more recently than we had thought before.
Meet Artemis II, the reboot, humanity's next lunar crew mission. On April 1st, 2026, Artemis II launched to space, a 10-day crewed lunar flyby. It proved the Orion capsule could perform, and it proved the SLS rocket could do the hard stuff. Crew: Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen, 4 astronauts testing life support, navigation, and re-entry systems so we can go farther next.
MS1.
This is Christina. We are going for our teammates.
MS2.
This is Jeremy. We are going for all humanity.
All right, Charlie, your Artemis II crew is go for launch. Full send.
I copy that. Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy. On this historic mission, you take with you the heart of this Artemis team, the daring spirit of the American people and our partners across the globe, and the hopes and dreams of a new generation. Good luck. Godspeed, Artemis II. Let's go.
10, 9, 8, 7. RS-25 engines commit. 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition. And liftoff. The crew of Artemis II now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
Good roll pitch.
Roger, roll pitch.
Houston, now controlling the flight of integrity on the Artemis II mission around the moon.
Integrity, AMT high.
AMT high.
On time passing 30 seconds into the flights. Integrity passes the alternate MECO. Target milestone. Mission Control Houston seeing good performance on the 4 main engines. Space Launch System core stage. Integrity, 3 miles in altitude. Traveling more than 1,200 miles per hour.
This is humans on board a new rocket going to explore the moon for the first time in more than 5 decades, and to stay. This time it's not just to stick the stars and stripes in the grey dust. This is to go and build a lunar base, to go and explore the moon properly, to understand the origins of the moon and us, because it was a Mars-sized planet that smashed into the Earth soon after the creation of the Earth, the early days of the solar system that spun off the moon that we now see. And that is a time capsule for the solar system. We will learn so much about not just the Earth, but the solar system if we understand the moon. And there are also the commercial opportunities, but perhaps of mining there too. So all kinds of things could come from this moment. This is the start of something new. This is NASA's golden era, as they say.
After lessons from Artemis Fairer, yes, that pesky heat shield char issue, engineers adjusted trajectories and gave Artemis II the green light.
We also used this time today to practice a few contingency scenarios where they may, if they had to spend extended time in those orange suits, how would they practice drinking their protein shake or delivering medication? And how would you set up the seats in Orion while you're wearing the bulky suits?
This mission isn't just a flyby, it's a milestone.
We did it. We sent 4 amazing people to the moon and safely returned them to Earth for the first time in more than 50 years. To the generation that now knows what we're capable of, welcome to our moonshot.
Splashdown confirmed.
Copy splashdown, waiting on VLDR.
Splashdown confirmed at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time.
Testing.
Today belongs to the engineers and technicians who touched this machine, and it does, and their work was good.
Learning.
Yeah, I think, we're taking a lot of lessons learned. Certainly learning about how the crew operates a spaceship has been a really great learning experience, and flying and ability for them to test drive our spacecraft has been good. I think, as we mentioned previously, our pressure control assembly, where we discovered a leakage through the system. I think we learned a lot about that. That is a new finding. Certainly, we're going to go investigate that. We're going to look at that and move forward to make sure that we make some changes if necessary, but we'll get all the data and we'll go forward from there.
And opening the door to living on the moon.
This time we return to stay. Let us finish what they started. Let us focus on what was left undone. Let us not go to plant flags and leave, but to stay.
Vivid Insight Radio, amplifying NASA's Q&A.
Hi, Andrea Leinfelder of the Houston Chronicle. I'd like to hear about life inside Orion. Christina, in the fall you said the capsule would feel bigger in microgravity. Does it feel bigger? And at what moments do you find that you're bumping into your crewmates? And what tips will you be given to future crews?
Wow, we have loved living in Orion, and in fact, we've all said that sometimes you can forget where you really are because we're in this small space that just gives us everything we need. But the answer to your question is yes, it is bigger in microgravity, and yes, we are bumping into each other 100% of the time. A phrase that you often hear in the cabin is, don't move your foot, I'm just going to reach for something right under it, or, can I get there? And my goal is to get over there. And we're constantly moving around, whether it's to complete a task, to just eat, to look out the window, to take a picture. Everything we do in here is a four-person activity.
Hey, great to hear from you all. You had 40 minutes of a pretty profound solitude. You were, farther from Earth than any humans before you. No means to communicate with Earth. It was really just the four of you, the spacecraft, and the moon. Can you talk us through what that moment felt like?
Courtney's running this press conference, and she knows I always speak the truth, sometimes with a little bit of embellishment. But I will tell you exactly as it went. When we watched that Earth eclipse behind the moon, wow, I'm actually getting chills right now just thinking about, my palms are sweating. But it is amazing to watch your home planet disappear behind the moon. You could see the atmosphere. You could actually see the terrain in the moon projected across the Earth as the Earth was eclipsing behind the moon. It was just an unbelievable sight. And then it was gone. It was out of sight. And we took a moment here. We had a lot of scientific work to do right there. That was probably the most critical lunar observations for our geology team. But the four of us took a moment. We shared maple cookies that Jeremy had brought, and we took about 3 or 4 minutes just as a crew to really reflect on where we were. And then it was right back into the science. And it is a surreal feeling, but we had a lot of work to do too, and I think that kept our focus. And so it's only come later, and we still haven't even begun to reflect on this mission. We had a little bit of a light work day yesterday, and we were starting to journal and reflect a little bit. And there's a lot that our brains have to process. Human minds should not go through what these just went through, and it is a true gift. And we have a lot that we just need to think about and journal and write, and then we'll get the full feeling of what we just went through.
Marcia Dunn, Associated Press for you, Reed. Could you please describe your emotions when Jeremy called down to Mission Control to ask permission to name a lunar crater after your late wife, Carol? It was a pretty emotional, powerful moment down here.
Marcia, it was a powerful moment up here as well. My crewmates approached me when we were at Kennedy in quarantine, and they said, hey, the three of them had talked, and they would like to do this. And that was an emotional moment for me. And I just thought that was just a total treasure that they had thought through this and they had offered this. And I said, absolutely, I would love that. I think that's just the best. And I said, but I can't give the speech. I can't give the talk. And Jeremy, the kind of guy he is, he said he would do it. And it was getting emotional there. And I think when Jeremy spelled Carol's name, Carroll, I think for me, that's when I was overwhelmed with emotion. And I looked over and Christina was crying. I put my hand down on Jeremy's hand as he was still talking. It was right there on that rail. And I could just tell he was trembling. humbling, and we all pretty much broke down right there. And just for me personally, that was kind of the pinnacle moment of the mission for me. That was, I think, where the four of us were the most forged, the most bonded, and we came out of that really focused on that day ahead. I think that was a very caging moment for the four of us. Thank you for that question, and it was a great moment.
And behind the scenes,
Amit Kshatriya, Associate Administrator, Dr. Lori Glaze, Head of the Artemis Programs, Rick Henfling, Entry Flight Director, Howard Hugh, Orion Program Manager, and Sean Quinn, Exploration Ground Systems Program Manager.
NASA is ramping up the cadence, standardized vehicles, an added mission in 2027, and plans for annual surface landings.
We really want to speed up our cadence and be able to return our crew back to space within a year and to the surface of the moon in 2 years. In fact, hopefully land on the moon twice in 2028. In order to do that, we're not going to be able to do that alone. We need all of industry to work and come along with us, and they need to accept that challenge and come with us and really start the production lines that are going to be required in order to achieve that goal.
Artemis III now aimed for 2027 to sharpen operations. Artemis IV will link up with the Gateway en route to sustained lunar presence, and eventually Mars. And what's next for humanity off-world?
This is the start of a new era of human space exploration.
Hi, JJ Love with Tech Talk Media. I just have some words of recognition for you all and the entire Artemis team. What you have done this week is remind the people of Earth that wonder is worth chasing, that curiosity is not a luxury, it is the most human thing we have. You didn't just test a spacecraft, you tested mankind's potential and carried all of us with you in the process. Every kid who looked up at the moon this week did it differently because of you. People who needed something to believe in found it in that splashdown tonight. So thank you, not just for the data, and not just for the mission, but for proving that the pursuit of what's possible is still alive and well. We are so grateful.
Vivid Insight Radio, amplifying voices, inspiring communities. Vivid Insight Radio, amplifying voices, inspiring communities.